it may be a while before I come up with any music, um, any more of the same sort of thing. Because that's tends to be the case with me. If something is not really aligned with what I want to do, it just gets neglected, and I'm kind of neglecting everybody that's subscribed to my YouTube channel, and a good bit of that has to do with well, what right now is that Wombo. I'm getting involved with something called Wombo and something called Starry AI on the iPad platform, and basically it's artificial intelligence driven painting and image generation, and it is so much fun. And it's kind of like I have a kind of an addicted an addictive mentality. That is that my addictions kind of drive what I want to do at any particular time, and singing just isn't quite as addictive as getting into Wombo or Starry AI and generating images from sentences. It's trying to figure out how to describe to the artificial intelligence what it is that you want to see precisely in an image, because it'll draw anything you describe. I came up with a sentence that described to for a Thanksgiving contest, um, where I defined Thanksgiving, and I said Thanksgiving is a monument to the Indians that had found the settlers, the pilgrims, um, in they were basically starving to death, and the Indians um, had food reserves and fed the pilgrims, and it was from the survival of having survived that winter. The following winter, they developed a celebration to celebrate having gotten through that with the help from the Indians, and the Indian tribe that they helped won their support in protection against an Indian tribe that was doing them in. And so we kind of helped each other. I mean, they kind of helped each other to get through the act of survival. And survival is what drives wars. But in certain cases, when people come to realize that others are just like them, that they are human, and they identify with other people as being human, they find that they can survive together, even though they have differences. Um, they start to recognize the humanity in each other, and that keeps them safe. And um, so in the one sentence, I kind of summed that whole thing up. And at the very end, I put three words, and I said, "Racism um, ruins this." Um, so basically, in when I took that sentence and popped it into Wombo or the AI engine, which is basically reading that stuff off and trying to concoct an image, every single image Wombo produced looked like something out of a Thanksgiving um, image, or I mean, or a picture of. In some cases, it was producing great portraits of American Indians. In others, it looked like a gathering of people, a peaceful gathering of people sharing the food and celebrating all sorts of it in every single one of the AIs. And so I, ever since I've started doing this, I really felt um, like it's something I should be doing. And when I sing pop songs, um, I get that feeling a little bit, but it's not quite as attractive as messing around with artificial intelligent art applications, which um, I think deserves some. I think it's going to have a great effect um, on people's capacity to express themselves. Um, the thing that happens with every new technology that comes along is people um, either embrace it or they attack it, and it depends on how close it comes to ruining your way of life. And if you're an artist that makes money on art and you put too much value in your capacity and skill to create a painting, you may see AI, artificial intelligence, as um, steamrolling your whole effort and leaving you in the dust. Or if you're able to um, if you're able to use it to augment your capacity to create good art or to produce anything that you imagine, um, to collaborate with the AI to produce work quickly, um, it it will benefit you there, and you will find um, satisfaction in that. Because really, all the AI art is doing is it's basically just a different way of what it's basically doing is it's collecting together the entire visual database of everything that anybody has drawn or photographed, and it's trying to reproduce that or regurgitate that from whatever it is that you're describing to it. And so it it isn't that it understands anything, it's that the English language becomes the search query language for the database that is using neurons in place of software code to or it's basically the that the neurons they figured out a way to put neurons into computers and make them work, and have figured out how to um, you train them and also to grow them into neural networks, and then use that as a method of database uh, collection and queries, and the queries are just plain English instead of some special language like SQL, where you have to say select all this data from this table row and put into this format so that I can then uh, extract it and use it to produce meaningful stuff. We've been able to replace all of that relational database and the SQL and all that stuff with a neural network, and all you do is just send text to a neural network that will then turn it into some sort of concept that gets sent to another neural net to get turned back into um, to take what it's been trained to understand as shapes and pictures and stuff, and turn that into something that you can see. And it's going to get closer and closer to being what you wanted computers to be in the first place, was a machine um, that you talk to, and it gives you answers, and it gives you pictures, and all it is it's just coming up with very quickly based upon the database of everything that has been shoved into it from what we've created and what we've photographed and things like that. It's trying to make sense. It's not really trying to make sense. It doesn't know how to really reason, but it knows how to. Um, it, it it's given the resources to pull that information out and express it in some form or another that is useful to us, and we train it to do that. Um, Artists can do the same sort of thing, but it requires them to learn how to use the tools, and the tools have changed from paintbrushes into the capacity to talk to a neural net based program or tool. We can see the AI as being a kind of a tool, kind of a collaborative being, and through that collaboration, we're able to produce the kinds of images that would take forever to draw by hand. And so it's a time saver. Some people won't see it as a time saver. They see everything in the world as a skill that they've developed, and anything that's getting in the way of that is steamrolling them. The reality is that um, we put too much value in the skills that permit us to do things, especially whenever we have the capacity to do things where others don't, and all of our value comes out of being valued for that skill. AI is going to replace that skill with something better, but the skill loses its effectiveness. The skill loses its the difference is no longer there. More people are. It's kind of like everybody escaped from the Titanic, and all the artists are sitting on rafts, and they're happy. And there are a lot of people that are out still in the water, and then all of a sudden these AI bots come along to pick everybody up and stick them on a higher on a better raft with more amenities, and the artists are like what the fuck, you know. And the 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 robot enabled raft systems come along to pick up the artists, and the artists are um, refusing the service because they had something before the robot showed up. And the idea is that you either accept change or you spend a long time coming to the realization that you get that there are opportunities in the world, and some of them work against your nature because you had something better before, because people worshiped your capacity and ability to create and do the things that were unique to you. And AI is going to kind of make everything better for everybody. It's going to raise the common level. You know, it's like socialism. It kind of raises everything to a higher level, but those people who have specific talents are going to um, protest against it because it raises the bar for everybody, you know. And their whole value in themselves, they based upon their capacity to do what nobody else could do but them, you know. And that's what AI does, is it gives everybody a greater capacity to do without the um, the tools and the skills and things that would have been previously necessary in order to create the same kind of work. And so people that are going to be kicking and screaming in this are the people who are losing that difference. They're the ones that develop the skill, um, unless they can figure out some way to use the AI as a way to augment their ability to produce art and to produce and find areas where they were unable to get into because they didn't have the skill to do so. And that's the important thing to embrace, is to see what AI gets you, not what AI gets everybody else, but what it will get you in uh, what you were unable to do before, and to use that to raise your level of expression and find another avenue of creativity. And because all AI is just a new way of designing a database. It's really all it is. It's 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 a database that has a more human interface to it. And what we pull from it is what we put into it. Um, the more you put into it, the more you train into it, the easier it is to produce what you need from what it's collected and has been trained to do. And all the technologies that they're developing for AI are just different applications of the same database retention and query that uses just plain old simple English or you know, uses image queries or anything like that in order to produce the necessary output for controlling other stuff. It's really just a different cog to getting computers to do stuff than writing software. And so it's really people who program with this stuff are doing the same sort of thing to other programmers what AI is doing to people in the art world and musicians and things like that. You either get out of the way of the AI and figure out some way to use it to augment your ability, or you're going to get steamrolled because the value you're putting into your abilities and skills are going to get flattened by this better method of taking what is in your head and putting it out there where people can see it. So really, my YouTube channel is about me and my philosophy. It's not so much about me doing you know, getting high about music and singing. It's never been about that. It's just something I can do. And if people want that, they're probably going to get, they're going to be um, upset and they'll leave and things like that. Um, the problem with YouTube and the problem with the internet is that um, it's turned into a love contest, and it's turned into a way for people to survive. And in that, they're willing to moderate and shape the audience or shape the content in such a way that it's acceptable and aligned with what the audience wants to see. Um, it's a contest of trying to win the attention of others in order to make money, and as a result of that, um, the people who present the content are actually going to cull off stories or content that might cause them to lose their audience. and that is what's producing all of the polarization across the internet and across the world, is that this need to keep the audience at their doorstep is causing them to shape the reality that that audience sees in their realm, and in that you're finding people who are running like YouTube channels that are into conspiracy theories, that are producing lies in order to keep people watching. And I'm not going to be a part of that group. I'm going to be spending my time. The closest I get to that is philosophizing, and if I feel like seeing something, I'll feel like I'll see something, but I'm not here to create a product that keeps people entertained. And if you need something like that, then you can go to Joe Rogan or somebody else, which is where we go to get that. I'm not making money off of this, and it's not something that I turn to nor to win love or anything like that. It's a outlet for my expression, and that's, and either take it or leave it, and because it's not going to come out any other way. And I mean, it's not, if it was a job to me, then I would be trying to produce products. I'd be trying to produce something that is acceptable. It'd be like a McDonald's. You would be able to know to come to me and get the certain thing that you would expect, because the reason why McDonald's is such a successful restaurant is that people know what they're going to get if they put a certain amount of money. The stuff that is produced is something that is aligned with what they know. It's like everybody's autistic, and they come to McDonald's to get comfort, you know. And by that I mean that people who are autistic don't do very well with things that are out of the ordinary, with new experiences. It with them it screams so many things because they're uncomfortable with new experiences. And so I desire, whenever I eat food, I desire differences. I desire new experiences. Some people desire that when they go to a restaurant and they buy a meal, to have the same experience every time, which is basically autism. It's expecting to go through the world with as little differences as possible, to have everything be comfortable and predictable. That is what people who are autistic prefer. And if you didn't think you were autistic and you preferred things that way, you're basically autistic, and there's no difference, um, because that's what autism is. It is going through the world, but the other thing is that autism is way I've defined it is that it's reduced instruction set computer, where CISC and autistics are RISC, reduced instruction. What they do is they their brains develop in a different way than ours, and the stimulation doesn't admit that they're the hardware that would be in place to make sense of all the various form of 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 input doesn't come together to produce a concept or an idea as easily, and so it's sensory overload. It's like you've got so many different devices in your room that all give you input, but you can't make sense of it all at once to figure out something about the outside. Um, that's the way autistics see the world, is that input comes in and they don't quite know how to make sense of it. That's the reason why they prefer simple, repetitive input because it's easier to understand what is going on the outside. Whereas other people have that all taken care of them and for them, um, and they're able to their sensitivities are in other areas, and everybody would prefer that everything not change because it makes it easier to relax. It's easier to relax whenever there is no alerts, when nothing alerts you and nothing um, frightens you and things like that. So I have to stop this recording, otherwise it's not going to permit me to upload it to YouTube. But if you haven't seen any music from me, that's the reason why. Is that I've been getting so attracted to Wombo and these AI art programs.